Hello, it's week 21 of season 7 of the Andy Griffith Show. This week's episode title is Aunt Bee's Restaurant. Andy and Goodler are in the courthouse talking about where they're gonna go eat lunch. And then Aunt Bee comes in and she says she's gonna go to the Stair-Grid Tavern to bring home Sutter tonight. But they tell her that that place closed down. The owner, Mr. Hendricks, wasn't making it there. And she says that's too bad. He was such a nice man. That she supposes the restaurant business can be treacherous. So she goes by to extend her sympathies to Mr. Hendricks, and he's gone when she gets there, but she talks to his cook, Charlie. Charlie's also well experienced in Chinese cooking. Yeah, he says he's about to leave town to go work in a Chinese restaurant he knows about. But Aunt Bee says, don't make those plans just yet. She's getting the idea of becoming his partner to open a Chinese restaurant in that same building. He had told her that he guessed it would only take about $400 to get started. And she tells Andy about her idea that night, and he's not too keen on it. And she starts getting defensive about it. She says she found a penny on the floor of the restaurant that morning, and she says that means it's a good idea. And then Howard comes in, and Andy asks Howard what he thinks of Aunt Bee's idea, and Howard says it sounds great. So Andy is disappointed that Howard doesn't back him up. So she goes ahead with it. She and Charlie get menus made. They put up Chinese lanterns. They hire Charlie's college student nephew, Jack, as a waiter, and Jack comes in to help them set up, and he meets Aunt Bee. And she says she's gonna frame her lucky penny and put it on the cash register. And they opened to a big crowd that night. They called it Aunt Bee's Canton Palace, and all the customers seemed to like the food. And Andy and Helen and Howard and Gooder are sitting together, and they're happy that everything seems to be going so well. And Andy admits to Aunt Bee that it looks like he was wrong. And at the end of the night, they're still there, and Aunt Bee comes and sits down with them and says they took in over $80 that night. And Andy says, yeah, and this is only the middle of the week. You'll do even better on the weekends. And then they get their fortune cookies and they read them. And everyone reads theirs and is happy about them. Everyone except Aunt Bee. She just reads hers silently, and then she looks upset and she excuses herself. And that night at home, Andy comes down from his bedroom to the kitchen, and he finds Aunt Bee still up. She says she's just a little restless about the opening. And Andy says you don't seem too happy about it, and she lets him read the fortune cookie message. It says, beware of new business ventures. They can prove to be costly. And Andy says, you can't believe those things. He says, you went into this because of that lucky penny superstition. Now you want to get out of it because of a fortune cookie superstition. Yeah, he says they can't both be right, so they're totally both meaningless. But Aunt Bee is not convinced. And then later, Howard and Gooder are talking about when they're going to go to the restaurant next. And Gooder sees a tall and handsome lady walking toward him. It was his fortune in the cookie that he would meet this type of stranger. And he says hey to her, but she ignores him. So he says she must not be the one. And Andy comes by and says, control yourself, Gooder. And then he says, superstitious women shouldn't be in business. And back at the restaurant, Aunt Bee is talking to Charlie and trying to get him to change some recipes and broaden the menu to attract new customers. And he says, but we're doing fine right now. And she says, well, but I'm worried about the future. And then she wants to lower prices and change the decorations. So Charlie and Jack go talk to Andy. He says it's all because of that fortune cookie. Charlie says the changes that she's suggesting are what would put us out of business, not anything else. And Andy and Charlie say Jack should go talk to Aunt Bee since he's a psychology major at college when he's not at the restaurant job. So he goes and talks to her, and after he can't convince her to give up her superstitions, he advises her to get out of the business. And she won't let Andy die her out. And Jack doesn't want to be a business owner, but the next day, Jack changes his mind and he does tire out, 'cause he got a fortune cookie that said, "This is your lucky day." And later, Aunt Bee goes to the restaurant as a customer, and at dessert time, she accepts the ice cream, but she turns down the fortune cookie. We'll see you next week for episode 22.